Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was one of those games that caught me by surprise. I mean, before this game, the only other Star Wars experience that I had gaming-wise were the original LEGO games and EA's Battlefront 2, which I still think is a good time despite all the issues that I had in the past. Fallen Order was sold to me as a puzzle-filled, action, Souls-like Metroidvania, and after seeing how great the reviews were for the game, I went ahead and gave it a shot. And man, was I blown away. Not only was the story good, but the gameplay, the exploration, just how well polished the game was. It was truly something to see. Well, before I get too deep into praising this game, let's get into the review. Fallen Order was developed by Respawn Entertainment, the same folks who was responsible for the Titanfall games, which I honestly forgot about until I had to write this review, and more notably, Apex Legends, which I know had a pretty solid player base, so Respawn's take on the Star Wars brand, absolutely fantastic. So, kind of getting into the story, if you're unaware, you're playing and following a young Jedi named Cal Kestis, who is one of the survivors of the Great Jedi Purge. This game is considered canon to the mainline Star Wars universe. The events in this game take place about 5 years after the events of Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Essentially, your goal as Cal is to try to rebuild the Jedi Order while also uncovering different secrets and making allies as you explore different planets and such. Now, the story to me was very well done, and honestly right on par with any of the other Star Wars media that I've consumed. Now, I will tell y'all, at the time of this recording, I am super far behind in my Star Wars backlog, mostly with the Disney Plus television shows, which I'm currently playing catch up on. But overall, I love the story. I thought it was well paced and interesting. I love the characters we met on our journey, especially Grease and Trilla being my faves. And the cutscenes, the presentation, everything was top notch, so great stuff here. I also enjoyed the flashback sequences, which shows a much younger Cal in training and how he obtained his powers. Even the moment when Order 66 was called, we got to see the emotional toll that it took on Cal and the overall character growth and development, which I thought was awesome. So the presentation of the story is top notch. Now, what about the gameplay? Well, I am happy to report when it comes to the gameplay, this is the category in which Fallen Order truly shines. The gameplay for this game is simply fantastic and for various reasons. One is the combat. Many people like to compare this to one of the many Souls-like games on the market, and I can definitely see the similarities, such as the ability to parry and dodge enemies who can respond at every meditation point. The game will also punish you for attempting to spam attacks and not being somewhat strategic in how you approach certain enemy types. One thing that this game has that can somewhat make your fights a bit more manageable is the use of force powers. As you progress through the game, Cal will begin to master techniques such as slow, push, and pull, which all serves their purpose in exploration. But also in combat, I have definitely used the slow technique in many instances to ensure a win on my end, so use those force powers for sure. Lightsaber combat is also highlighted in this game, especially with two of the boss fights in particular. But the lightsaber is Cal's primary form of attack, in which you progress through the game, you unlock more stances and moves you can use with your lightsaber. For example, I love using the double-bladed saber for crowd control, or if a boss I'm fighting is also using it, I'll use it too. It makes some pretty epic boss fights. Now, as stated, exploration is another huge part of this game, and as I mentioned earlier, there are some Metroidvania elements to be found here, mostly in the form of backtracking. You won't have access to every traversal technique at the start of the game, so when you do eventually unlock them, you're encouraged to backtrack and reach areas you were not able to reach prior. Things such as wall running, double jumping, and some of the force techniques are all used when exploring each planet you visit. The main objective when you visit most of these planets is to uncover the secret of the planet's Jedi Temple. So think Dungeons in Zelda or Tombs in Tomb Raider. These temples are laced with thought-provoking puzzles that will require you to use your brain. And honestly, I thought these puzzles was well designed and great. I had a fun time trying to figure out what to do in order to progress. Great stuff. So look, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is one of the best, and I mean best, Star Wars games you can play. There is no denying that. The combat is fantastic, the exploration is well executed, and the presentation is at an all-time high, and definitely something that you want to see in a AAA game. I do have plans on reviewing the sequel, but before that, we may take a trip to Legoland first. If this is your first time here, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.